were the questions that you got?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I've said this a few times in shows past that for some reason now in my gym, not my gym, but the gym I go to, is we got an influx of kids. Maybe it's because the school year started. I don't know what, but and I call them kids because I'm 150, but then they're not.
Right.
So,
I get you.
but I would say they're all probably, late teens, early 20s,
Okay.
if that. Okay, young dudes who's probably,
Sure.
just getting in the gym for the first time. And
Okay.
of course, there's a few of us in the gym who look like, we've been training for a little while and, they ask questions, which is great. I love that. I mean, I don't think there's anything better than that. When you're in the gym and you're trying to learn how to do something, and especially, if you're really gung ho on being a bodybuilder and getting big and ripped and all of that. I mean, I did it. You did it. We all do it. You go. You talk to the big guys. You talk to the ripped guys. You talk to the guys that look like they know what they're doing, and you ask them
Right.
questions.
Right.
Right.
Of course.
So there's this kid and he's young kid just starting out, no muscle, skinny little guy. All right, and he's doing dumbbell cable kickbacks,
Okay.
and I'm trying to work. I train in circuits, so I'm very. I mean, I'll set something up and I'll go do three other things, and if there's people in the gym and I come back and someone's using my thing, whatever that I set up, I just got to deal with it because I can't expect the whole gym to stand still while I do,
Yeah.
a 5 circuit routine, right? So I got to
Right.
bob
Right.
and weave as I go through, and it's fine. I totally get that. So I get back to my cable to do another set of forearms, and there's this kid got my handle, and he's doing, these one arm cable tricep kickbacks. And I'm looking at him and I'm waiting and I want to get in and I'm like, I try to do something else. I come back and he comes back and he says, he asks me, if I do those? And I said, absolutely not. And, and he says,
Yeah.
why? Aren't they good? And I said, oh, they're great if you need them. But I mean, I'm not at that point where I need to do fine detail work on my physique.
Right.
I'm kind of on the way down, and I'm just in here to try to just stay, strong and healthy and limber, and keep looking good, as I get old. So he says, well, why won't you do those? I said, because it's a pointless exercise when you need basic foundational movements. He says, well, like what? And I said, look, you how long have you been training? He said, 6 months. And I said, and I go, that's great. You haven't quit yet. That's pretty good. So, I said, all you should be doing for the next 3 to 5 years is basic movements, basic strength movements. And I've said this before on the show, probably 100 times. Those would be bench presses, weighted pull-ups,
Right.
deadlifts, and squats. He goes, well, what about arms? I said, you're going to get plenty of arm involvement by doing pull-ups and deadlifts and shoulder presses too, seated shoulder presses. So shoulder
Right.
presses, bench presses, deadlifts, and pull-ups, weighted pull-ups. And you're going to get plenty of arm involvement in all of those movements to build a basic foundation. When you're all around a bigger dude and you've put in the hours and the time and you've grown and now you're it's 3 years down the road and you're 50 pounds heavier, now
Right.
we can talk about other movements and things to do to kind of refine your physique and hit areas that you think might be lagging.
Yeah.
Man, he did not want to hear that. He goes, what, I just got to do pull-ups? I said, did I say that? No, I said seated shoulder presses, bench presses, weighted pull-ups,
Right.
deadlifts, and squats. 5 exercises.
Yeah.
Now, if I were you, and I would train 5 days a week, and I would do one of those movements each day, probably for, 40, 45 minutes until, maybe some more time goes by, you get stronger, you get more, into it. You can add more sets, you can add more reps, you can add more days, you can do that. But right now, I mean, I would just do it 3 days a week if I were you, but 5 is good. One of
Yeah.
those 5 days a week, and you got to eat. You go, oh, I eat really good. I go, dude, you're $130. How much good could you possibly be
Right.
eating?
Yeah, eat
You know,
more. Eat more
it's
good.
almost like right, right. It's almost like a delusion, kind of rolls in, and because they've been in the gym for 6 months, and now they think they're going to carry the gallon jug of water, and they know what they're doing. And it's cute, it's funny, but you're not going to get anywhere doing that. And I'm like, dude, why would you ask me a question if you're anticipating an answer that you're not getting, and now you think that the information I'm giving you is no good? Why would you think that? And he didn't have an answer for that. And I said, look, man, I don't care what you do. I really don't. I just really don't care what you do. I don't care if you make any gains or not. But my position is, if you're going to be in the gym anyway, you might as well make the most of it, take advantage of it. And you need foundational strength. And everybody starting out needs foundational strength. And the only way you get foundational strength is by doing foundational movements. It's the only way. So, and I always harken back to the scene in Conan after the kid his mother gets her head chopped off, and they take him prisoner and stick him on that turnstile wheel with the oxen and the monsters and the big guys. And years go by, and there's only one guy left in there, and he's huge, and that's Conan, because he's the only guy left pushing the wheel, because it's a strength movement. It was such a perfect illustration of what I'm talking about. So my answer for all you guys listening, if you dare to ask me that question again, my answer is always going to be the same. Foundational movements, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Good diet, foundational movements, plenty of rest. 3 to 5 years. Nobody wants to hear that. But sorry, that's the answer.
I'm trying to think if the last time I did any type of cable, I mean, it's been months, and the only reason I did it was just to switch it up. There was no real reason.
Right.
Like, it was just like, well, you know what I haven't done in a while? There was no real plan for it. And that to me is like you, what I try to do when I'm in there is in here in my gym is, there's times where I'm like, okay, how can I make this a little more fun for me right now? Like and that's it really. Like, I want to make it more enjoyable. And if that means doing a movement that I haven't done in months or, I will. Like, for example, the other day I did, I had my rec bags, and I was like, you know what I haven't done in a while is any front squats. Like, I don't want to put the bar, my shoulder there's something going on with it. I don't want to put a bar there, but I'm using there's a 35-pound rec bag and a 60-pound one. I flip it up, and then I put it on the ground, and then I flip it up, and I do front. And guess what? It was fine, but it's not like, I was like, I don't need it. It was just like, shit, I haven't done this. I'm bored. Let's do it. And that was that. It's no other strategy or theory. I just wanted to have fun.
Right. See, that's the thing. Fun. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This can be a lot of fun. I mean,
yes.
I literally enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy it because it's a respite from what's going on. It's relief. Mm-hmm. It's stress relief. It's good. You feel better afterwards. And while you're in there doing it, I got my boys in there, and we're busting on each other and we're insulting each other and joking with each other and having fun, and that keeps you motivated. And then, you watch, this buddy of mine's wife just pulled freaking 450 off the floor, and that's fun to watch.
Yeah,
that's insane, and
that's awesome.
It's incredible, and I love that part of it, and even my little mind games that I play, trying to push myself because I don't have a training partner, and I got to kind of make that effort extra on my own, and I enjoy that. I find fun in it, challenging myself, trying to set a goal of how many reps or how much weight or whatever, and try to achieve, even if it's like, dude, you can't do that. I'm going to try it anyway. And I just started actually changing my workouts up a little bit, where I'm focusing more on strength. I'm going heavier chest work, heavier back work, heavier shoulder work, and, less volume, more weight. And I'm just, playing around with that for now because it makes me happy and it's fun, so that's what you need to be doing when you go to the gym. The quest to have like this, Olympia physique in record time that a lot of these guys are deluded with is just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So while you're in there, have fun,
Right.
That's it.
And look, but that's what when you were bodybuilding competitively, that's one thing, right? But afterwards, it doesn't really, and that's where it's, even now when I'm in a gym and people are like, how much weight do you want to put on? I'm like, you could probably go lighter with me. Like, I am not at all trying to impress anybody. Not that I could. It's about sustainability and longevity at this point. Like, I mean, yesterday I did pull-ups for the first time because honestly, this shoulder has been, I am so terrified to go to the doctor. I don't want to go because I know what they're going to tell me. It's going to be bad. It's going to be awful. So I'm working around it. I'm still able to do 95% of the things I love to do. So I did pull-ups yesterday and it was awesome. I mean, it felt really good, but at the same time, it's like the slightest tweak and I was like, so I'm not going to go to the gym and be like, load it up on the, I'm going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a crazy press. No, I'm not going to do that. Look at Roger Lockridge. What's up, Roger? He loves training. I love training challenge myself. Currently, he's working up to run 5K and doing a meet and back to. That's awesome, dude. That's great.
That's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're having fun doing it. And new challenge. Yeah, that's awesome. And look, I know, John, you're not a big runner. Honestly, me neither. But at the same time, it's a challenge. So I think it's really cool when the fact that I hate running tells me I should probably maybe do something with it sometimes, like I don't like to do it. So
it's so funny that you brought that up because I actually ran yesterday about 10 yards.
What was chasing you?
I was washing my truck at the car wash thing. And I was, at the end, you got this area where you wipe your vehicle down, dry it off and stuff. And I had both doors open and I had the dry cleaning slip in the compartment in the middle. And the wind blew and the dry cleaning receipt flew out the door. And I go to this dry cleaner, like, remember in New York, the old days, no ticky, no shirty, I have to have that thing or I'm not getting my clothes. So I take off, it's blowing down the parking lot and I'm taking off after it running. My goal was to slam my foot on top of it and bend down and pick it up. That entire 10 yards, I was terrified. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to pull a hamstring. I'm going to fuck my knee up. I'm going to slam my foot. I'm going to slide out. I'm going to hurt myself. And nothing bad happened. I retrieved the receipt.
He made it. Okay, you made it safe and sound. That's good.
I made it.
Yeah, I haven't run in a while, but you know what? So when I worked out with my friend Don Saladino last Friday. He was kind enough to give me some gym floor so I could finish this flooring that I have, which is awesome. So it saved me like $500. But he's like, hey, I got out of the car because it was like 3 hours, and I'm like, oh, he could, and I didn't even know he was like watching me. I'm just like, oh. So he's like, okay, that's it, come on. So we start immediately, and we didn't even do anything crazy. We just did a lot of mobility work, but we did it at such a pace that it started to catch up with me. And then as the the finisher, basically, it was. And it seemed so easy because I use the Aerodyne or like the fan bike, I use it from time to time. But he's like, okay, 45 seconds and then 15-second sprint. We're doing 3 rounds. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I got to tell you, I don't know what it was, but that first round just knocked me for a loop. I was just a mess. I was a puddle. And I'm sitting there like gasping. It's like, I'm like, man, you know what that tells me though? I have to do it more now. Like I have to work that in. It's something that I haven't been doing. And I jumped again on the rower again yesterday, started doing that just for, even if it's like 5-10 minutes, it's like, it's something I'm adding in along with the jump rope. So I'm doing jump roping, cause I got to film that thing pretty soon. I'm only doing like, it's part of my circuit. I'll do a few hundred skips, maybe 100, 200, 300, doesn't matter. Then I'll do the rest of my set and then just keep going. And then by the time I know it, I'm racking up, 1,000 jumps, and that's far more than I've been doing. So it's been good. What's
kind of cool too is when you integrate something new, if you might end up really liking it, and then it's part of your routines. Like I do this. There's an amphitheater downtown that's got this flight of steps. I don't know, 30 steps maybe. It's not that big, but it's a decent walk over there. Probably 30 minutes to get there on a walk. And typically that would be my turnaround point when I was doing 75 hard and I had to do, 2 workouts out, one of them outside. One of them would be a walk, to the amphitheater and back. So that would be like an hour. So you're only supposed to do 45 minutes, but I do you got to do a little extra.
Oh, you got to throw a little more on there, a little spice on it.
So, but yesterday I walked to the amphitheater and I go, let's do some steps. So I walked down the steps. I walked up. I think I'll do 10 of these. I did up and down 10 times and walked home. And as I'm walking home, I think I'm going to do this every day. That was great. I feel really good. I got some steps in. I got some good, leg movements in. And, that felt good. I went and trained legs last night. Normally I do leg press. I only go up to 8 plates on each side, cut myself off there because I'll do something really stupid and then I'll get hurt. And, so I cut it off at 8 plates and just do and just add reps if I have to. Now, when you put 8 plates on each side in the leg press in the gym I train at, there's a little piece of horn left over on the machine that would fit one more plate. So you could fit 9 plates 9 plates fills it up completely. Right. So I go, why don't I just throw another plate on there? The eight went up really easy, So I threw one on each side. Now the whole thing's filled up. And I did 8 reps and I got scared. I did 8. The 8th one went up. I go, something bad's going to happen. And I racked it. And I constantly feel like I'm teetering on this edge of disaster, but you got to push yourself. So I did 9. I got, I did 1 extra set with another plate on each side for a decent amount of reps for that kind of weight for me. And felt great. Now, I know tomorrow I'm going to be sore as hell. My chest is sore right now. My traps are sore right now. My lats are sore right now. Cause I've been, up in the the intensity, and I haven't felt sore in years. So now it's, it's definitely something that's kicking in, and I'm going to keep doing it because it feels good. I like it, but I would never know that unless I, decided to push myself a little bit. And that's what you guys got to do. You got to figure out ways to push yourself, especially if, like me, you train alone. So, right, you train alone pretty much a lot too, right?
99% of the time.
Yeah. A lot of guys do.
Yeah. Listen, I do like that, but I also do miss having, someone there because it does push you. It does give you that extra, motivation to get, or even the help to get an extra rep or 2 or whatever. Yeah. And it's really about, maximizing your time in there, right? And maximizing each thing, because I don't want to just go waste time. I don't have that luxury at this time. Right. I have the window I have to train is pretty small. It's not like if I don't do it at the time I have allotted for it, finding the time to do it later on when my kids come home is very challenging. It gets sacrificed. And so I have to make it work. Like Roger, he said he's doing, he's lifting alone. He's doing powerlifting prep. I mean, I don't even know how you would do that safely, but he says he's found a way to do it. And that's awesome, dude, because Jesus, I know a lot of folks go to the specific gyms, right? They go to like specialty gyms for whether it's powerlifting or like across anything that's going to be sports specific. So everything's there and set up for you. I know you train in your barn, Roger, so maybe you figured it out to it. But
you know what? A power rack is indispensable when you're training by yourself. If you use it correctly. I mean, you can do bench presses in there with the stops. Sure. So if you drop the weight, it's going to hit the stops. Same thing with squats. Same thing with, deadlifts in the rack are great because you can start, doing higher pulls to bring your strength up, and then you can do full pulls, off the floor if you want. So, that power rack, the shoulder press is the same thing. I do them right off the stops. I just set the chair up and bottom is the stops, and I just lift them off the stop. I just lift the bar off the stops. So there's, as long as you're creative and innovative and smart, you got to use your head here. Um, so if you do that, you can safely do all kinds of stuff by yourself, but you got to use the equipment that's there.
Yeah, and Roger had a really good point too. He said he focuses on technique, in the safety racks, but the technique is it, right? Because a lot of times, especially when you're doing something like powerlifting, you start to think, or just like even what you said before, man, like I got to put something extra on there. I got to, and not thinking about how that may affect your, and especially nowadays, because one wrong move and I'm feeling it for days, if not weeks. So I'm really very, very cognizant of that. But of course, in the past I haven't been, and I've done dumb things. I mean, my wife was doing trap bar deads. I think she was holding it and looked over here and pulled something in her back. Like this is like a while ago, but that's how quick it can happen. It's like, it's how fast it can happen. I can't afford that, dude. My kid, I already promised my son a shoulder ride after school today. So I have to follow through on that. I can't be like, I can't say no to that. He needs it. He needs that shoulder ride.
But I always remember Max when he was little. He goes, "Are shoulders available?" Because he always wanted to ride up there. Thank God he hasn't said it recently because he's 6'2" now. But you said that about your wife. My wife did the same thing. She's been recovering from that disc injury. She's been doing really good, doing mobility exercises. She was almost like she would claim 90% some days. 2 weeks ago, she's in the gym on a Saturday. She's training with a friend of hers, showing her, a coworker, showing her how to do a few things. She goes to grab a 15-pound dumbbell. She was oriented and, twisted in a way like this and reached, over the rack for the thing. She picked it up with a little bit of a jerk, relapse. So, she's been flat on her back now for 2 weeks. So, I mean, she's recovering much faster. I mean, she's, back to the point now where she can, do a lot more stuff, but she can't sit for long periods of time. She can't, all because of, and I told her, I said, you have to understand that after a while, you lose Gumby status. I call it Gumby status because Gumby, you can bend in any position whatsoever, throw it around, and it's always going to snap back to normal. Once you pass a certain age, that shit's over. So you have to be,
hold on.
you have to, like, if you go to pick anything up, you have to address it. You have to, like, consciously understand, even if it's 10 pounds, if I pick it up wrong, I can do damage. And so you have to, like, think about how I'm lifting this up and do it like in a way where you're square to the weight and you're not in an odd, angle or whatever. So, Frankie.
What's up, guys?
What's up, dude?
What's up, Zach? I'm getting the same hairstyle as you now. Look, no haircuts.
Yeah, it looks good, man.
I'm embracing it.
Zach, you're mute again.
You're mute again. Zach, you're mute.
Yeah, this has been happening all morning, Frank. You're still mute, bro.
Did he break anything?
Yeah, I think something comes unplugged or something, but nope, no good. Still mute. We'll tell you when we can hear you.
Yeah, it's okay. It's
there you go.
Yeah, it changes for some fucking reason. It changes like the output for me, like automatically. It's so dumb. Ooh,
for the Olympia, I'm going to dye my hair the same color as yours.
Oh, perfect. Good. Yes. Cool. Yes.
I can't grow the facial hair, but I'll go there. And then you.
I need is stilts. I need stilts and like an extra 40 pounds, and we could be twins. So that way I could be tall like you and large, and you could have the same hair. So perfect.
And then if I commit any crime of beating anybody up, I'll have your hair. That wasn't me.
Yeah.
or stealing a churro or fried chicken wings from the wherever else they have to eat. I don't know.
Frank, a question for you. When you were lifting like heavier, because I know now you're doing a lot more volume and things like that, and we were just talking about this, ever just take your daydream a little bit or just not pay attention and all of a sudden you're like in horrible pain because you just totally screwed your technique and just, tweaked something, or no?
You know what? I think, yeah, absolutely. Because mental focus is everything. People they don't put, they don't pay enough attention to that. Like sometimes in the gym, sometimes I'll give you one instance. Mike O'Hearn will tell you, when I was in the Gold's Gym Venice for the first time, I was deadlifting, and Mike, we talked about, I was deadlifting 635 with no belt, no straps, and I didn't realize I had so much on the bar, right? Like, I just kept putting it on, just like, I'm in Venice, I'm 22, man, this is sick. And I'm like, as I was in the thing, I did it like a couple of reps, I did like, I don't know how many reps, 5 or 6 reps, and I'm like, oh my God. Like after I was done, my lower back felt like it was in a car crash.
God.
I almost blacked out. Like I didn't mentally get ready. I think when you have to mentally get ready,
Yeah.
there are times
Yep.
where I dropped 225 on the bench on my head because I wasn't really, I half-assed it putting the weight back and the bar
man.
came down and smacked me right in the top of the head. So yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to, when you're training by yourself, if you don't have that person who's like,
Right.
all right, we're doing this or that.
Yep.
Yeah, there's always times where I screwed things up or I
Yeah.
should have zigged. I should have zigged when I zagged.
But you've been training with Juan Morel on weekends, right? So have you noticed a difference in terms of intensity or anything like that when you're training with somebody? Because normally you train by yourself, right?
Yeah. So with Juan and I had Max Charles, who's a pro bodybuilder. He's 300 pounds.
He's a
And
beast.
Juan, and we put 7 plates on each side on the leg press, which is not a crazy amount, but it's a decent amount, especially when you're old. And Juan, we're doing reps, and I said to Juan, I'm like, do 30, and he's like, yeah, right. Like he did 12 reps and that. So now I'm on it, and I'm like 30 reps, and Max like, let's go. I banged out 30 reps, like good 30 reps with 7 plates. It took me a good solid minute and a half to get my cardio back because I was not used to that. And the difference between training when you're younger and your rebound, your recovery is almost instantaneous. Like you're like, boom, I'm ready. You go out to the club, you drink, you could train that morning. Now, after that set, the rest of my workout was like, I can't be Tom Platz here. I have to be Sylvia Platz or John Platz here. I can't do that continuously. But it's funny, Zach, if you're training with somebody and you're putting it on social media and you're videoing it,
Yeah.
you already increase your strength. Like, let's throw those erroneous stats out. You increase your strength by 20% because the fear of embarrassment, and I guess, I don't know what it is, but I've noticed that I do train heavier with somebody who's stronger than me or someone who's someone like Juan, who like pushes you or, to train heavier. Like today I just trained, but I trained with someone who's not as just more into reps, drop sets, what have you. So I think you take on the identity of your training partner.
Oh, I think so too. And especially, I love that's why I love when we train together, Frank, because that's exactly how I like to train now. You like to get in and get out. You're moving. That is exactly the way I love to train. So it's when when I'm doing things that are a little heavier with people, that's when I'm kind of, I guess, I feel like fish out of water at this point, a little out of my element. It's fine. I'll go through with it, but it's like, I'm so not used to it that it's just a different feeling.
John, when you have you ever trained with someone and you know your body better than anyone? No one's going to tell you anything that you don't know. You know how your body operates. You can get the best program in the world, but you know what specifically works for you. Have you ever done someone's workout or train with somebody where you've gotten hurt doing their kind of exercises and you knew you like kicked yourself in the ass because you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I know I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Do you remember a dude named Dean Tornabenny?
The shorter bodybuilder, right?
Yeah.
Of course, he was good. Yeah, he's a good bodybuilder.
He was really good. Yeah, I used to train I trained for him for a couple of years back in the day, and he was a maniac. I have never seen a dude his size train the way he did. He was an absolute insane asylum. And we would do legs and we'd do extensions, curls, sumo squats, lunges, heavy leg presses. We done with heavy leg presses. You needed a paint scraper to get me off the seat. And he goes, let's do squats. I go, squats after that? Come on. And so I didn't want to do squats. And he's like loading the bar up, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I had 315 on the bar. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. He goes, come on, we have 5 more sets. And I go, fuck. And so against every bit of better knowledge that I had, I got underneath that bar, unracked it, went down, and torqued my back. And it took me like 8 months to recover from it.
God.
So it's like I would never have done that. Ever, never, ever in a million years. But I was with him, and you got to do what your training partner is doing. So yeah.
Yeah. So when Zach and I were training together, I like Zach because Zach has zero insecurity. I'm like, all right, I'm going to put 225 on my back and walk 100 yards there and 100 yards back. He's like, I'll watch you do it. He's like, but I'm not doing it. Nope. Like, he's like, I'll put lighter weight on. He did it. But other people, like, if they're doing 500, you have to do 500. But
yeah, exactly.
I like, there's no shit. Like, when I used to train at the barn, I was doing movements with Don Saladino that I don't do. And there was a reason I didn't do them. Like he does his thing, I do mine. But I was doing dead stops on bent over rows and doing deadlifts and stuff like that. And I'm like, I have a torn bicep, my back. What the hell am I doing? And I was continuously getting hurt. And I'm like, are tweaking something, and it's like, that's fine for him, or fine for anybody else. But for me, for my body type and for what I know, my injuries and everything else, and how have 30 years of trial and error, more than that, I know what works. And here I am doing dead stops with 250, bent over rows. And then they're like, let's do chin ups. And I'm like, I have a torn bicep. Like, what am I doing? So I'm like,
peer pressure.
So now I got 3 splits in my bicep, which look great. It's not working out. But it's like anything. Like, and then I train with another dude. He's a power lifter, and he's like, oh, we're gonna go do squats. And he's like, all right, after 315, ass to the grass at 10, I felt like a car drove right into my lower back and just kept going. So I'm like, I would love to do this. I just can't, I just can't. So I started doing modified squats with Juan, and then all the trainer cops pulled up onto my post. If you're only going, of course you could do 405 for 20 reps because you're not even going parallel. If you move the bench back and and I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of that? Wow, that's genius. Like, we're doing it for a reason, because we're both banged up bodybuilders who are like on our last limbs. So we're trying to get this, do the best we can. But so that was a long version of that. But sometimes you know better, but you just do it. You think you can in the back of your head, and you can't.
Those form police, they bother the shit out of me. Because, like I got a torn rotator cuff, torn bicep. I mean, so you got to work around, like Frankie just said. Right, you modify it, right, Zach? You work around it,
of course.
So I start every back workout with 50 pull-ups. So it's not in a row. I mean, if I might take me 4 sets or 5 sets, but I do 50 pull-ups to get my, But I can only do them with my arms this way, with my hands this way. I can't do this, and I can't do this because
me neither,
right.
Yeah.
So I'm banging out my pull-ups like this, and this guy's looking at me like, you're doing those wrong, and I'm like, wrong for who, dude? You know, I'm twice your age. What? I'm doing them wrong. Like, tell me how to do them right. Well, you're supposed to pull your chin above the bar. I go, good for you. If you can do that, go for it, bro. I'm doing the best I can because my chin is this far below the bar. Your arms are like this. It's
You're
almost
cheating
impossible to
yourself,
get up
Romano. You're
Yeah.
cheating yourself.
Good
Well,
God.
yeah,
I
I don't
can't
know why you
stand that.
just don't do them right. I go, right for
It's
who,
like
dude? You
it's
know?
like Ronnie Coleman doing
Yeah.
those at Club Metrics, doing the 800-pound pre-contest. He's doing 600, 700 pre-contest squats. He's doing like a
Yes.
squat every 11 minutes. And the guy I'm training with goes, he doesn't know how to train. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Oh
He's the
boy.
best
Oh,
bodybuilder that ever walked the planet.
that famous video of him doing that nebula leg press, and he's got
Yeah.
like 20, like 30, I don't know, 2,800 pounds on there.
Yeah.
Brian Dobson had a calculator. He's adding it up. There's so many freaking plates on that thing, and he gets in there, and in Ronnie Coleman form, he just gets in there and goes, yeah, 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 yeah. And he's pumping them out, and everybody comments on that video. He's training. His form sucks. I mean, how can you do? He's Ronnie Coleman, 8-time Mr. Olympia. What are you going to tell him?
Yeah.
You know,
He's doing just fine.
These people drive me nuts. I hate them.
We got two questions in here. One for Frank, one for John. We'll start with the one for John because it was earlier. It's from Guth 1980. Serious question for John. He used to be a chef. I used to follow some of his recipes. He seemed to get away from that. Why? And does he cook anymore? There's the book.
There it is.
Muscle Meals, baby.
There you go.
Love it.
We got to get that hat.
The reason, I cook every day. Otherwise, I'm not going to eat. But look, I wrote that book, 30 years ago, 25, something like that, And what I've learned in that time frame is we pretty much eat the same 5 things. Right? I mean, what do you eat?
Okay.
You eat oatmeal, you eat potatoes,
Chicken.
you eat tuna,
Eggs,
you eat eggs, you eat hamburger, you eat chicken burger, turkey burger, I mean, it's the same. Once you start working on variety, the diet starts to, get in trouble. So if you're really serious about getting your macros in and getting your nutrition where you're going, you pretty much have to eat pretty plain and pretty simple. Yeah, it's nice to do something out of the ordinary every once in a while, but honestly, I've been cooking for so freaking long that I got to the point where it doesn't make it. I've done it all. So you can go. There's websites out there where I think I still have like the Gaspari website. I think there's a Gaspari kitchen button you can push. I'm on there doing some recipes, but pretty much, I cook all the time, but I'm not making a career out of it because how many times can you make egg whites?
Will you do a OnlyFans page where you're wearing God punishment, where you're doing an OnlyFans page where you're wearing assless chaps?
That's as close as you're getting. That's it.
I love it. Muscle Meals.
Muscle Meals, baby.
And that hat is paper, so it's long gone.
It's gone, that hat. All right, this one's for Frank. This is from Joe. Joe, I don't know how to say your last name. Sorry, I don't want to butcher it. Says, I think my phone was listening to me. I was on the eBay app, and an old issue of ND popped up. And it was in 97 with Sepe on the cover with Tori Wilson. Yep. Does he remember specific photo shoots from back in the day, or do they all blend in?
Good question.
Oh, no, I definitely remember, especially the earlier ones. I remember a lot of different photo shoots. Yeah, for sure. It's funny when you're in the moment, you don't really know what you're accomplishing, and you don't really remember it because you're always looking for the next thing. But there are
plus you're working, right? Like it's work. Like you're there you're taking direction, being told. It's not like it's fun sometimes all the time.
I was on a magazine cover for 20. Well, actually now since last year so my first cover was in 95 and my last one was last year.
Wow.
Think about that. Staying relevant. But I was also on the other side of the camera because I used to shoot studio photography, shoot ads and campaigns and all kinds of stuff, and I stopped doing it. But I remember a lot of the photo shoots of people that I shot, from like celebrities to just some of the I shot a lot of Mr. Olympias and a lot of different people, and I remember those shoots. I don't know if you wanted to hear any specifically, but I had
Yeah.
Well,
all right. Well,
that's it. Well, I always wonder that because I've done maybe 10 photo shoots in my entire career. You've done 10,000.
yeah.
So I, of course, remember every single one of mine because there was only 10, if that. So I wonder if they turn into a blur, after the numerous ones that you've done.
Yeah. I mean, look. Sometimes I just found the cover the other day that I didn't even know I was on. I was with Juan, and I was like, wow. But as a fitness model, you never forget your first cover, and that was with Monica Brandt. That was really cool. But as a photographer, I was shooting I was shooting a campaign for this clothing company, a huge clothing company. And I mean, it was 2007 or 8 where as a photographer for a campaign, you're getting paid like 40 grand to do the
Wow.
photo shoot. So, but now you got to account for um, basically assistants, editing,
Yeah.
all that other stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow, we're getting this much money. So we're in the studio in Manhattan where our office was too. I'm like, let's get a DJ. So we get a DJ. Let's get a bartender. Let's get a bartender,
I see
right?
where this is
You
going.
know what this needs? We need motorcycles in this. We need motorcycles. Call up Tommy Marinelli
Yeah.
over
Oh,
at
yeah.
19th Street Gym. Get the motorcycles in. So they're loaded motorcycles. I'm like, you know what this needs? I'm like, we need more models. Let's get 12 bikini models. Let's get the one dude, right? Let's get the music going.
We need
Before the end
pyro.
of the
We need
shoot,
people from the ceiling.
before
Trapeze.
before the end of the shoot, right? There are people laying in the elevator drunk, right? There's old people like there's people like it was insane. And then all of a sudden, um, Tommy Marinelli comes, he brings Mickey Rourke. And Mickey Rourke's there because he's shooting the wrestler, and he was training over. I guess he was training over super duper nice guy, awesome. Then he left, and then like just random people would pop up, like celebrities, and like like they heard of the photo shoot. It was nuts. So the amount of work that I got from that photo shoot, and I don't even know if there was a couple of pictures that were in frame because it was so funny, but it was just it was a cool day, like of shooting and everything else. But those were the days. But there's a lot of photo shoots. I shot with Chris Lund, and Chris Lund made you use regular
Real weight.
weights.
Yep.
Right.
So I was shooting with Milo Sarcev in California. I was 22 years old, and Chris goes, grab the 150s. I go, for what? He's like, you're going to do presses with the 150s. So just getting the 150s up to your legs is a chore. I don't know if anyone's grabbed the first 150's good. No one's helping you with the 150 because no one wants to get hurt on the photo shoot. So I'm like, boom, get the 150 up. And then the first rep is torturous. Now back then they're trying to get it in frame, right? So you bang out like 8-9 reps with the 150, and then you put it down and you're like, yeah, look what I did. All right, let's do another one. Let's go right back at it. I'm like, impossible.
The
Just an
photographers never
impossibility.
get it.
No.
So I was
No.
like, so based on that, because it was one of my first shoots for bodybuilding, and then I was like, I was always thinking if I'm doing a shoot, that was the case, but that was the only time that
Yeah.
ever happened. So everything else was a treat, it was a joy.
It's so funny because I feel like I'm the opposite. I never want people to get hurt. So I'm like, listen, if you're apprehensive at all, like we'll just switch it because it's really, look, at the end of the day, at this point, especially exercise is exercise. So if, like it's totally fine if you want to, but I have been in those situations. Like, Per Bernal was one of them, like another set. And dude, it's like, people didn't know sometimes what they were walking into, that it was going to be rough.
But at least Per had his wife moving everything around. Usually that you got to do it,
Not when I was like,
Yeah.
because well, I guess you were out in California. When he would come to New York and do shoots, he had two assistants, and he kind of would just park himself on the floor and just sit there and shoot like nonstop. I mean, it
Yeah,
was,
but
you know,
he is
I
a great
shot.
photographer, though. I
I
don't think
shot with what I shoot with Per. I shot with Per about 30. I've got about 15 or 16 magazine covers with Per, and I think collectively the amount of money that I made. I think I told you I have enough to sit in front of a parking meter for
yes.
30 minutes.
Yeah, but Per was
But
raking it in. When he used to
but
charge
those
Blackman for those photo shoots, I was like, oh my God. You know, like,
but that's what it was. You used it, and
Yeah.
I never expected him.
yeah,
That was a springboard. But I love shooting with Per because the shoots, you knew that if you
Yeah.
were going to spend that much time in a photo shoot, you knew you were getting A1 photos back. So you're like, in the beginning, people think you're going to make a lot of money. Once you have the mindset of like, I'm not making anything, or I might make $500, but
Yeah.
these photos are going to be super,
right.
super like incredible, and they're going to get you other work, then you're cool. But if you go in the mindset, she's making money, he's making money, the magazine's making money, and I'm not getting anything out, you are just killing yourself. You're
Yep.
just
Yeah.
you're not going to get anywhere. You got to go.
You're not going to
And
get
pair
shit.
shoots were like 14, 15 hours straight. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Very
stop at
long.
Kookaroo, maybe, if the sun went in or something, but you weren't eating. You learned.
Yeah.
There were times like people like, you don't drink a lot of water. Like they tell me now, I'm like, for 15 years, I do shoots for all these hours and stuff. I wouldn't drink any water.
Really?
And it just came second nature to me. No, because I'm like,
Wow.
I'm not going to spill over. John knows. You're like, I'm not going to spill over.
Golly,
And,
Yeah.
it was
man,
like, but
that's
it's totally unhealthy.
Yep.
oh,
Yeah,
switching gears.
Another thing, Frankie and I have. I'm sorry, Zach.
Yeah, okay.
I did a photo shoot with Monica Brandt too. Look
Yeah.
right there.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm gonna
That
pretend
was
like, oh, there we go. Now I can kind of see it.
that was like
Oh, that's cool.
35 years ago, something crazy like that.
Nice.
I know, right?
I had hair.
So nuts.
I know. I was gonna say it's
But
hard
you
to
know
even
what?
understand.
The reason I bring that up was what Frankie just said. Things lead to other things. I didn't get paid for that shoot. You know,
You're all
It was-
fuzzy
Oh.
now. You're all fuzzy,
I
John.
didn't even get to keep one of those necklace things or any of the clothes I was wearing. So,
Yeah,
you know,
John's out. John, you gotta focus, dude.
I didn't do anything.
Okay. Well, you
No,
moved.
he's okay.
I just held up
Oh, yeah?
that thing and
There we go. Oh wait, no. There it is.
So
Kicked in.
'cause I had adjusted.
I see.
when you, like John said, when you do one of these magazines back in the day, right? So if you did a Weeder publication, you were probably paid 1,000, maybe 1,500. But any other publication, but I shot a lot of covers for Muscle Mag, right? And a lot of covers, and I did a column in there. So the covers got me really popular, and they had a chain of Muscle Mag stores, and we would do appearances. We get 1,500 a day. I'm 22 years old for working at the Muscle Mag store and signing pictures. Then companies who were advertising in Muscle Mag, like Gorilla Wear and all these
Yeah.
other companies and Metrics, saw it, the covers and then the columns, and they were like, wow, we want to be a part of it. So that's how you got your money. It wasn't like
Yeah.
you were doing this cover, and they never put you on the cover because you were friends. They put you on the
No.
cover because they made money.
Because they could,
You know,
because
like,
they could move it. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, that
Um,
was it. That was it.
Jerry Skeptic
Half-
has. Oh, go ahead, dude. Sorry. Okay. Jerry Skeptic says,
No,
I have a me-
that Wi-Fi just went down.
I have a message for John. It says, I spoke to you before about DHEA and you dismissed it saying to get test. Well, I got test and now I know why you dismissed it. Thank you for the advice. There is no comparison. So,
Hey, no, there isn't. Awesome. I'm glad I could help you.
yeah, no, that's great. Look, I mean, but that's good. I mean, that's the kind of
truth.
like, but having that open discussion, at least it's good. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Maybe this person wouldn't have figured that out, that they would have continued to, keep throwing money down the drain and still not get achieving or feeling like they want to feel. So that's really cool. Great, Jerry
Yeah,
Skeptic.
no, that's really good. I hate seeing people bang their head against the wall. It's
Yeah.
if you're putting in that kind of effort, if you're, really serious about it, I mean, unless you do the real thing, you're going to shortchange yourself. So I'm glad that happened. That made me feel good.
Nice.
I
I
like
just
it.
wanted to put that in there before I forget. So there you go, Jerry Skeptic. We've had look at that. I love it. I love it when people actually chime in and have some things to help us move things along. Yeah, one day we'll get back on Facebook, and maybe someday this will be crazy if we actually get on Instagram. Who knows? Who knows? It'll be crazy if we do.
Well, I know somebody can get us on Instagram.
We have to figure it out, dude. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know how it would look because it's like this is all landscape, so I don't even know what it would look like.
Wow.
I mean, oh yeah, I know. We also know. Yeah, you know what? We Frank and I both know people that are just clearly gurus at this, so we could just pick their brains, right, Frank? Because why would I ask Frank about this stuff? He clearly he wouldn't know. You are frozen. I was like, man, he's not really good. All right, well, he'll come back. First one shot says he got his test in the mail yesterday, but
I can't.
he's kind of coming back.
Someone told him to move.
Now he's coming back. Yeah, exactly. Get out of here. It's that guy from the other day.
You're going to see signs in parking lots coming up soon, and they're going to say, instead of no parking, they're going to say no podcasting.
Yeah,
I guarantee you that's coming.
Nice. And if I remember correctly, first one shot, I think he was going back and forth about whether to do the testosterone or not. So yeah, that's good, man. Look, I hope it.
See, that's the difference between now and back in the day. If I got my test in the mail when I was, in my 20s, I would have pinned it at the mailbox. I wouldn't even have waited till I got inside. I would oh yeah, it's here, man. So
it's crazy.
It's nice that he can wait.
It's crazy though, but it's also nuts that just the same thing with whether it's marijuana or anything like that. It's not, I guess, that taboo in a sense is gone because you're getting it prescribed. You're getting it from places that at least put a seal on it that there's some quality control, it's just so funny, right? I think it's interesting.
Two things I don't understand. One, how professional athletes or just general people get arrested.
Oh, right in the middle of a sentence.
I know. I was like, get arrested.
My phone. Am I back?
Okay,
You're
we're going
back.
We're going to take up a collection now to get Frankie a studio. So remember Al Franken on Saturday Night Live? You had to
I know, right there.
Get Al Franken a limo.
Keeps going in and out. I don't know why.
We need to get Frank Sepe
building
a studio.
I like this. It's very. This is perfect. It gets us. There we go. Now he's back, and he's clear, crystal clear.
I'm gonna start a GoFundMe page.
Was your phone overheating again? I mean, listen. Frank is on that. He is on that phone a lot. I mean, he's always putting stuff up.
Every day. Maybe it's dying. Who knows?
Who knows, man? But also, I could tell you that. But anything you see, well, no, not everything. 99% of the things you see on any of these pages is Frank doing the work, figuring out what works and what doesn't. So without him.
So wait for a special. Thank you, Zach. Well, wait for the special edition of. I'm going to talk about social media and what we're doing and what we have done in a special issue next week, special edition, which people are very interested in. So so I'm gonna put out an email to everybody and let everybody know what we're doing, and this way, everyone knows.
Listen, it's as much as a lot of folks want to be like, hey, it's a team effort. In this case, it's not. It's one person doing a ton of work, and so I'm grateful because look, without his efforts, half the stuff this is going to shock people, but our live streams, they don't attract the biggest audiences, but when we cut it up and we put it out, that's when we actually get some traction in this thing. So without Frank doing that, as well as everything else, we would be doomed. So I'm appreciative, of course.
Yeah, very appreciative.
Well, we'll see what the future is what's going to happen in the future. You know what I'm looking at right now, John? A gym guy's truck. Have you ever seen one of those?
No.
I interviewed that guy, dude. The
gym
dude
guy?
who
Oh, yeah?
started it, Josh something.
What is it?
I don't.
It's a mobile training? Mobile training?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. So
but
it
it's
was
parked at
actually
the gym. But it's parked
that's
at the gym.
He's stealing weights.
that's interesting. Yeah. So yeah. So I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it, but I guess what it is, it's a mobile gym. They come to you, whether it's at your office or your house or
That's
your
cool.
wherever, and they have the trainer come to you. They have all the equipment there, and then that's it. It's you're done. And it seemed like, I was talking to him about it. I dug his story because he built the business out of his parents' house. And then he's like,
Smart.
went back into like the corporate world, hated it, and was like, I'm going to make this work or I'm not going to make it work. Like, I'm going for it. And so far it seems to have worked out for him, I guess. I mean,
But it's not
I
a
wonder
new
why.
idea.
I wonder why he hates the corporate world.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine. A lot of fun. People that have no sense of humor and, just a rat race.
Yeah, yesterday my partner in Sepe Nutrition went to our box company to get the boxes specifically for United Emirates and the 7 Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia and stuff. And I was like, this is so cool. Like, I just tried to like think about it. Like, you made a product from scratch. I'm trying to live in the moment and celebrate little things. And I'm like, now all the way on the other side of the world, people are going to be eating like
Yeah.
like the protein treats. I'm like, that's
That's
pretty
so
cool.
cool.
Like, you
It
never
is
give
cool.
yourself any credit whatsoever. And I'm like, wow, I hope they like them. It's pretty
Dude,
cool. But I was like, wow, I just thought that's pretty cool. All the way on the other
it's
side of the
very
world, where I've
cool.
never been.
Really cool.
I've never
Dude.
been there.
You never been to Saudi or the Arab countries? All the traveling that
No,
you've done?
my vacations were like either Florida, Puerto Rico, or Turks and Caicos. We never went to Saudi Arabia.
No, I meant for
or
work. I thought
Egypt.
all the events that they have out there, I thought for sure you would have gone.
Can't imagine. You didn't want to go out there, Frank.
No, it's funny. Listen. I don't like. I selectively choose my trips, especially for work. Especially
That's
for
nice.
work, like
That's nice to get to that point.
especially when I used to work for NPC IFBB, they would joke and they would go, "Hey, we need you to judge in India," and I'm like, "You got a better chance of growing a tail than me going all the way to India for no money." I mean, like, if I would love to go to India, if Sharu was like, "Come to India, be my guest, and come down, and we're gonna do this big thing or whatever with the nutrition bars and stuff." 100%, I would love to meet everybody there. But when you're going there for for no money or this or that, you gotta, I don't know, you have to figure
Yeah.
it at a certain age. You're like on the plane, my back.
Yeah.
That
You
Peru
know,
Classic
John,
is a great show, though.
no, that's what I'm saying. I would
Yeah.
definitely go to Sharu, or to be a guest or do something for Sepe Nutrition.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's also, them, right? So they're going to take care of you. But it's like,
Yeah.
listen, when I travel, I'm like in the last seat of the last row. It's not, like there's just, it's like, I end
listen.
up paying money to go work.
if anyone wants to fly me out to India for Sepe Nutrition, I'm 100% would love to go. I went and sat in the last seat for Spain for metrics, and right next to the bathroom, and I had to go to Fit Form.
The
And it was
smell of that chemical
yeah,
that they use in
still
the
getting over
toilet
that.
is
The cart
horrendous.
hit the seal.
Oh, it's so bad. That
It's
stink.
bad on its own. Then you mix it
amount-
with shit, and it
the amount
smells
of
people-
worse. Ugh.
The
You ever
amount of
get-
people that have to defecate during a flight.
Oh, have you ever gotten like stranded on the tarmac and the plane's not taking off and they won't let you off, and then you're trapped in there, and hours and hours and hours go by, and then people are using the bathroom and it's getting fuller and fuller and fuller.
Oh,
And you're on the ground. Bring the truck, suck that shit out.
massive
and let
dumps.
it
Ugh.
fill up and fucking get all. It's disgusting.
You're-
And if you're
you're at
20
the point
rows
too where
from
you
an- yes.
you're at the point where you're sitting there and you're like, oh, tacos, hamburgers, like exactly.
I was stuck on a JetBlue flight one time, hours. I'm literally, and these are on the news all the time. I think it was 3 hours went by. We pushed back from the gate about 10 feet, and then the plane stopped. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, move up 10 feet, let us off. Nope, got to stay on the plane. I came this close to a federal charge because I was going to pull the exit on the window and jump out the slide. I was going crazy, and literally within probably 5 seconds of me doing that, the announcement came on that we were going to get moving. But man,
I want to go to Bollywood. I want to go to Bollywood.
That's in India.
I know. I would go there. I'm saying I'm not going for $50 and sitting for 700 out, like all the hours on the plane and everything for my back. I'd go for sepe nutrition. I'd go for like for something else. But it's just sometimes you have to weigh things out. Dollars to donuts. Like
Yeah.
you know, back in the day when you were younger, like I was saying, you're sitting by the bathroom, you're just going for the experience.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, you know, I'm just using India as an example. I'm just saying, like that applies to Antarctica.
Yeah, exactly. No, you said it, man. It's
I'll go anywhere. I'll go anywhere where there's a nutrition store.
Well, that's the thing. It's not even about being snobby. It's not about being snobby.
For nutrition.
Not at all about being snobby. It's about just being selective. Yeah, I don't want to deal with it.
Man, and you know, like hang out.
One pallet will travel. One pallet, I'll go anywhere.
Oh man!
You buy a pallet, I'm there.
But all right, let's see this. We've gone on for an hour plus. You want to wrap her up, and we'll come back next week and do it again.
Sure.
All right. Let's do that.
Well, we got the
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Strong New York. That's right.
Oh yeah, when is that again? Shoot.
October 5th.
Okay.
That's
Golly.
like tomorrow, isn't it?
No, next week.
I gotta make sure that I gotta see when my kid's birthday party is, but I gotta figure out when that is. I have it written down, but I have to look.
It better not be October 5th. You committed to doing a VIP podcast.
No, Everett's birthday is the 6th. Okay, cool. We're doing the party then. All right, cool. Good. Sweet. Yes, and then after that, we get to go to Olympia in Las Vegas, Nevada. I mean, well, some of us have our travel.
I have mine.
All right, everybody. Well,
I have my seat by the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what mine's going to be. Mine's going to be on the wing. That's VIP, baby. All right.